Hello, and thanks for clicking on this video. Alchemy of Souls Season 1. 20 episodes that take a little over 23 hours to complete. My original watch through of this drama happened from March 26th to April 2nd at about 1:12 a.m. of 2024. I started it because, one, I desperately needed a break from Burning Flames. Or, as my note said, more precisely from Baisai and how everyone will not stop glorifying her, even though I'm curious to see Nitan. Arg! I was paused at 13:18 on episode 24 when I wrote that. And two, because the description plus the tag of fantasy without folklore or religion specifically mentioned both intrigued me and gave me hope. I've said multiple times that fantasy is my favorite type of drama, and yet the Asians have a way of... Anyway, I need to stay on script because this is going to be really long. Plus, I think it sounded familiar, like something I was thinking of watching before and forgot about. Whether I came across it myself or heard about it from my best friend or my sister, I'm still not sure of. The original notes that I took started while I was paused at 3:57 on episode 9 because I had piling up thoughts. There were 4 of them at the time. 1, I still don't understand how Naksu ended up in Mudok's body instead of the girl she grabbed, nor why Naksu isn't more bothered by it. 2, why do so many Korean dramas make all the students / followers of sex look like they are intensely sleep-deprived zombies with pale skin and super thick black eyeliner? Why is that a trend? They look so stupid. 3, Naksu and Blue Thing. We'll get there later. 4, I freaking hate people that reject until he himself becomes powerful alone, and then they'll pounce all over him with invites to try and claim the credit. And my next note, or an original note, wasn't written until the end of episode 13/14, the beginning, when I blew up at Yule. You coward! And then, just like that, I summed up my ending thoughts on 2 pages, most of which were confusing thoughts, or still like the actual bleep with bad guys constantly suddenly being forgiven on top of innocent people getting stomped on, because that happens all the time in the Asian dramas. All the time. And also the indescribably disturbing coward. And the fact Jin promised, I will make it a painless death, and then she does that? Yes, we'll get back to all of that. Alchemy of Souls Season 1 Rewatch took me from April 7th at around 11:30 p.m. to May 20th at about 7:54 p.m. Even though I skipped quite a lot of scenes this time around. Why did it take so much longer? Well, not in particular order, but there are several reasons. 1, there was so much more note-taking. 2, it's not brand new and unknown, therefore it's not as exciting, so once the initial high from loving it so much wore off, I started dragging my feet. And all of this can be blamed on the ADHD, which is also partially to be blamed for the skimming of scenes. Because, if you don't really care much about the character, if it's not really related specifically to the main story, or if you just plain hated stuff, or if it's just like, it's explanation versus actual happenings in action, and that kind of stuff, you don't care to watch it a second time unless it's been an extended period of time since you've seen this drama and you forgot about it. So, anyway, 3, my health has been messed up. 4, life has been very busy and has only just recently started slowing down. 5, I started watching a drama that got kind of put on hold temporarily or else dropped. I'm not sure which yet because it wasn't really... Anyway, and also one that I can't believe I actually finished watching. But I might actually do a separate video on that one, I'm not sure. But because of that one, I'm still kind of pulled over there. It pulled me into a completely different headspace. And anyway... But despite all of that, I'm finally finished rewatching Alchemy of Souls. Season 1, I haven't started Season 2 again yet, even though that's kind of what I really wanted to rewatch anyway. And I'm here compiling notes to tell you guys about it. I started compiling notes, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? I think it was the day before yesterday. The day I finally finished this, whatever date I said that was, May 20th, I started compiling the notes. And today I'm filming this on May 22nd. Who knows how long it'll take to edit, because my note-taking, for once, I have like tons of timestamps to actually prove to you guys what I'm saying. That was the whole point of trying to rewatch before I did this video, so I hope it pays off. Let's get to the details. This was all the introduction. The basic list of reasons why I loved Alchemy of Souls so much versus its worst downfalls. 1. The characters that were not driven by emotions. Who they were, what they were, how they grew, the consistency and coherence of it all, versus the ones that didn't do any of that. 2. How the story was unraveled. I'm telling you, for a Korean drama especially, if I remember correctly, I didn't skip anything while watching it the first time, which is shocking. And if I did, it was barely anything, which is actually rather shocking for a Korean drama. And there was no skipping or barely any skipping the first time around because there was almost nothing that wasn't relevant, fitting the coherence and flow into a gripping tale of hook, line, sinkered. Versus the plot holes, for lack of a better word. They were either too confusing or just didn't work for one or another reason. Most of them happened a little bit closer to the end of season 1, but we will get there. And 3, the sound effects, the visual effects, the camera choices, the acting, the comedy itself. I swear it's far more rare than it should be for a comedy to actually be funny to me. But the humor in this one is almost, I can't remember for sure, so we'll go with almost, always so spot on. Like, in many ways, like, I loved the comedy that happened in Love You 7 Times. In many ways, I think this was even better. Like, I don't know if it's just me, I have a specific type of humor, I don't know, but there's a lot of things that I do not find funny. I actually find it really repulsive. Like the drama that I said I can't believe I finished watching. Most of the humor in that one, I found it really repulsive. When it's extremely dirty or when it's extremely violent. I don't find that funny in the slightest. Also, don't find it funny when it's like mocking or when it's like downtroddening on people or like... There's like so many things that I don't find funny and it's like repulsive to me. And then there are things that I just, for some reason, ever since I was younger, I just don't find it funny. Joke books. Other people would laugh their heads off and I'm like... I have a dry sense of humor, etc. Anyway, I am seriously rambling and this is going to be long enough without me rambling, so I will try to stop that. Point is, this one had a lot of humor that was super spot on. It was so good and we'll get to it. Some of it, because there's too much to mention at all. Versus the freaking never-dying habit that desperately needs to die in the Asian dramas making world that is especially bad in K-dramas, which is the stupid flashbacks. Notes taken about all of this? Here's the video. I took a lot of notes. I will try hard to sum them all up, and I think the best way to do that is to go through the characters, which will touch on 3 and possibly even 2, the points of why I liked this drama so much, and then go through the story, which will include both points 2 and 3 and might touch on 1. We'll see what happens, because like, yeah, there's a lot of notes, and it's really hard to try to figure out what categories to put them in. Some of these things ended up in the scene when they're kind of the character. Some of them it's like the character, but it's... We'll get there. This is probably going to be split into at least 2 videos because these documents are super long. I have one document that's titled Character Notes, from the love-ems to the hate-ems to the rest of them. And I have one that's just labeled the story notes. So we'll see how long this ends up being. I will most likely split it into 2 because these documents are really long. So even if I stay on topic and just read, it's going to be long. So, if you're interested in this, please keep watching. And yes, there will be a lot of spoilers because, like, intermingled to try to stay on point and show the point that I'm trying to go, we're skipping around a little bit, and there's a ton of spoilers. So, be careful of that. Also, though, by the way, it wasn't in my notes, but I did mean to mention... Speaking of spoilers, it got spoiled right off the bat for me, because if you look them up on my drama list to find out what these dramas are about, and I'm going to be lazy and just show you what they said this drama is about, I'm not going to show you what season 2 is about, because they spoil it right off the bat. Like, I read the descriptions of this before I started watching it, and in a way that turned out to be a good thing, because I knew what was coming, I just didn't know how it happened. But... Don't read Season 2's description if you don't like any kind of spoilers whatsoever, because Season 2's description on my drama list, the very first line on it, completely spoils the ending of Season 1 for you. So, there's a ton more comments that I feel like I could make that I can't yet because I haven't rewatched Season 2. This these videos are specifically only about season 1, even though I do refer to season 2, because some of my opinions of season 1 completely changed, reshaped, or whatever because of season 2, and I mentioned that several times throughout this. So, there will be, once I'm done season 2, I will make another video. I don't know how long it'll end up being, because I don't know what I'll actually say about that one. I took even less notes on it, because, like, it just sucked me right in, and I enjoyed so much of it so much that I didn't even think to pause and make comments on it, because I was too much in love with it. So, anyway, season 1. Quite possibly, while I'm editing this, I'm going to decide to put the story note opening comments before the character notes opening comments. This is part of the confusing part. How do I told you I used my drama list description to tell you what this drama is about, but, like, I don't know. I'm sort of assuming you know something about it while I'm jumping into it, because slowing down and explaining every little thing is a little difficult. Maybe this will help. Maybe it'll just make it more confusing. Let's see. Opening comments about the story notes. 1, soul shifting. The freakiest part of this is not the fact that it's possible in the story. The freakiest is the fact that it's possible without both people's permission to do it. In fact, as we see later, a third person can be the one doing it to 2 different people. And I wonder if that means that neither one of the people being shifted has to be in agreement. Which would be even freakier than the freakiest fact that one of the 2 already doesn't have to be. In other words, people aren't just switching bodies in this drama. People are literally stealing people's bodies. Which is why I appreciate how much weight they put on the scenes when this spell is happening. I.e., they show you the awe of how big this spell is, because wow, but also they show you the utter horror involved so well on the people's faces while it's happening that you don't just see it, you feel it. This spell is terrifying, and I very much appreciate the fact that they made that known to you, because it's terrifying. It's freaky and it's terrifying. My second comment on the story as a whole, I highly prefer this type of drama where they show smaller clips at the beginning of the first few episodes to explain the past, rather than spending several episodes, like full-on episodes, in the past before suddenly jumping forward. The only thing I wish they hadn't shown first in the past was what happens to the soul shifter when they run wild. To me, that would have been better first seen in the present, when Guigu found one and Yule killed it. I'm sure they showed it then to let us know that Jang Uk did more than just his own soul shifting with the king. But I'm also sure they could have done it better, because just for some reason the fact that they opened with that and showed you that first, it kind of took away from the later scene. I think it would have been more impactful if they had showed that first rather than that. Maybe that's just me. The third opening comment is the name game this drama plays with Naksu. The main girl character, the one that I call Naksu regardless, in order to keep things as unconfusing as possible, she actually ends up with 4 different names during this drama. And I don't know if I can properly put into words how cool that actually is for this story. It symbolizes several things considering how important names are to people, both simply within Naksu's character growth, but also within the story itself and how it ends up unfolding because of it. I mean, how connected the names are to the different parts of the story being revealed. Because they use 2 different actresses to play Naksu because of the soul shift thing. And in season 2, like, I'll get more into this there. It's, like, much more of a spoiler. The whole name game and the 2 different actresses and stuff, there's stuff in season 2 that I won't touch on yet, but it also plays into this. And it's, like, the different names and which actress is playing her and what's happening and all that stuff. It was really, really, really well done. Like, it's one of the things that makes this story so good, is when and how, which name they used, when they use it, why it's being used, which actor's being used, and what's happening at the moment. It was so, so well done. It's one of the best things about this drama. Like, and the fourth opening comment, but why does this drama, and so many others I've seen, have to be so obsessed with showing the literally filthy, gross, goopy, yucky, disgustingly messed up bad guys? Up close and personal? I get that makeup was probably took you a long time to do, so you're proud of it. But seriously, why does it have to be so in my face? I don't like disgustingly goopy, filthy, gross, icky, sticky, messy. I don't like stuff like that. I absolutely hate and abhor zombies, by the way. And yet so many dramas are so obsessed with showing you not only bad guys way more often than they need to, but stuff like that. Why? Every time it zooms in on them, I'm like, are we done yet? Okay. Character notes from the love-ems to the hate-ems to the rest of them. Opening comments on characters. 1. Episode 1 wrap-up comment that I made was, I observed from the rewatch, wow, it's crazy how many character introductions tell us exactly what the whole show is going to be like. On the good and bad side, Kim's introduction was the only one that didn't seem like her, and later Go-on's first intro didn't really either. So I note the time where their real intro happens too, but apart from them, and, Dong-gu being shown using a bow and arrow, which he does not use again until I think it's season 2. However long it was, being long enough, I, completely 100% forgot that we'd ever seen him use a bow before. I rewatched it and went, what? His introduction was using a bow and arrow? He never uses a bow and arrow. He uses a sword throughout the entire thing. I totally forgot he knew how to use a bow and arrow. That was weird. And yes, I'll tell you who these characters are in a minute. The wrap up, I'll get to the character names and who they are in a minute. Where was I? Off script again. It's kind of shocking, actually, and kind of really cool. I don't know if I've ever noticed that a drama did that before, whether they meant to do it or not, what the characters are doing when introduced. What they're focused on, what they're thinking about, who they're interacting with, and how they're doing it. The whole story, man. The whole story is right there in their introductions. And if you don't understand what I mean by that, I don't know how to explain it any other way. You watch the thing and then go back and just rewatch their introductions and you're like, poof. Second, I absolutely love Jang Uk and Naksu together. They are so incredibly well suited. And the growth of their relationship in this drama is so well done. They move through such realistic stages in such a realistic way. It's one of the best relationship buildups I've seen in a long time. And there are so many examples, and I'll refer to a few more of them out throughout the whole thing, but just a few of the examples are in episode 4 at the 25:48 mark, where I wrote so many examples already, but it's when and how they do and don't get involved with what's happening to each other. It's not controlling or manipulating or taking undue credit or what's the other word, any of those things that usually happen and drive me insane as a result. It's staying out of it in order to let the other person grow. It's supporting and encouraging the growth, while respecting who they already are. In episode 5, at the 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 18 seconds, is where I quoted Jang Uk saying, I wanted to do nothing, but I feel motivated to climb the tree. Do you wish to go up there? My only comment was, that is such a sweet, sweet scene. There is no other word for it. It is so sweet. It's just so pure and so sweet. Episode 6 at the 10 minute and 46 second mark. I'm sure I sense cheating. What was that? Oh, Mudok, don't cheat on me. It hurts and upsets me. My comment was adorableness overload squeals. That was so raw and honest. This romance bloomed so naturally because of such deep connections and understanding and respect and reliance. Continuing the scene, her whole response and him continuing to be 100% flustered is hilarious and adorable. At episode 6, at the 39 minute and 42 second mark, I wrote, the dynamics of this duo make them both so equal to each other. He treats her like an expert that he looks up to, but also like a woman, but also like a best friend, but also like a, what's the word? Maid at first, but she's who he goes to for everything. And it takes her longer But she knows she's 100% reliant on him in terms of her literal life, but the further it goes, the more okay with that she is. And yet she never takes advantage or settles into being lazy, etc. She is strong and knows how to take care of herself and him. There are different ways that a man and a woman protect and support and encourage and love each other. And like, this drama did such a good job of showing the way, like, taking care of him. Yes, she goes too far while training him sometimes, but I'd say that's the only way she knows how to. Like, she probably did the same thing to herself. Episode 7 at the 45-minute and 12-second mark. Maybe it's just me, but I find it, that Naksu heard voices to recognize Dong-gu and Yul and go on, but Jang Uk takes her hand and she knows it's him. Okay, moving past their relationship, which I'll touch on even more throughout the rest of the thing. The third opening comment that I wanted to make was Jang Uk and Go On together are both hilarious and seriously cool. Again, it's what they go through together, the decisions they make towards each other and because of each other, the experiences they figure out together. And then add Naksu in, and especially during season 2, we get some of the best comedy scenes ever as a result. One of my favorite scenes that I've ever seen in any drama ever is in season 2 with these three. It's super interesting how much Go On and Naksu and Jang Uk influence each other. I.e., I think all three of them were needed in each other's lives to produce the results that we ended up with. Number 4's opening comment. Episode 9 at the 21-minute and 9-second mark sent me off on a tangent about relationships, and here's what I said about it. This is something that regularly bothers me. Must you say your feelings out loud? Park Jin asks. And I say, yes. In a sense, at some point, like Kim complains, you circled around these words and lost out to someone more straightforward. But at the same time, Park Jin shoots back, I wrote poems and gave her gifts. And I am nodding. I'm thinking there is more than one way to confess how you feel, and it drives me a little nuts when this kind of person gets made fun of and downright trodden on. It ties into a lot of the relationships in this drama, really. Every one of them. Who said it and who didn't and what was the result? How straightforward were the actions versus how coded and blurry? At the 21-minute and 17-second mark, Park Jin says, you should just be able to tell. To which I say yes and no. People aren't mind readers. How clear were the actions you were taking? Bloody Yoon-ok, for instance, gets away with obsessing over Jang Uk for both seasons, even though Jang Uk repeatedly makes it very clear in both actions and words that he has no interest in her in that way. Yul and Naksu is messed up because Naksu did like Yul at one point, and he still does like her and never gets to resolve that thanks to her claiming for ulterior motives that she does like him. And worse, freaking Dong-gu being sickeningly smug over his non-existent intelligence that he thinks is real. 59 minutes and 31 seconds into episode 9, I wrote a note about freaking meddlers freaking meddling with their biased blinders, making them freaking blind idiots that cause actual harm every single time because of their freaking meddling, and I only have 2 words for all of them. Back off! But Yul is smart enough, despite all of this, to know that it's not true that she likes him, or at least not true enough, yet he won't let go of his own obsession, and that is what entirely messes him up. And then we have the toddlers, Dong-gu and Cho-yoon, and I just don't even want to go there. They make me so mad, especially in season 2. And yeah, circling back to Park Jin and versus Kim, and the drama just had to add another love triangle, making Lee all of a sudden fall for Kim too, which I believe was unnecessary, 100% unnecessary. They were, for some reason, trying to drag this relationship out for as long as possible. End of story. That is the only reason they added a love triangle. They did not need to drag this relationship out as long as they did. They just, for some reason, wanted to, so they made it drag out for way, way, way too much longer than it should have. But overall, what Haeyeom says at the 50-minute and 48-second mark in episode 9 is a really good sum up of Kim and Park Jin. Now I'm going to talk about specifically the characters themselves. Go through each character. Okay, Jang Uk is the main character of this drama. I absolutely adore this guy. He is one of my ultimate favorite male character types. Jang Uk is right up there, probably top 5, possibly top 3 favorite character type for males. So, just that right there. This drama. Okay, who is Jang Uk? What is he like?